there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today I want to share my holiday mantle with you. I just finished it up last night and I'm really happy with the way it came out. Every year I like to mix some of my older things with some new things, and I found some really cute surfaces at Michael's that I painted up using some folk art home decor chalk paint and also the chalky finish Mod Podge, which really is nice because I was able to decoupage without having shiny spots. But anyways, I'm going to show you how to do all of that, and then at the end I'm going to show you how I mixed it all up with these items to create my mantle display. So let's go downstairs to the craft room and I'll show you how it's done. The first thing you need to do is remove the tags and strings from your surfaces. I picked up these gorgeous galvanized metal pieces at Michael's as well as the large wooden plaques. I'm going to throw the strings away because if I ever decided to put them back, I have more twine, plus I'm going to be using these on my mantle and I don't think I'm going to need to hang them. So I'm just going to take those right away because they'd only get in the way when I paint it. If your wooden pieces have any rough edges, you'll want to hit them with a sanding sponge. You can also use a small file to get into the smaller areas if the wood is rough. Now you want to base coat the items with white folk art home decor chalk paint. That will give it a nice smooth yet toothy surface for your book pages to stick to. While that's drying, you can tear up pages from an old book that you no longer want. You're going to be using that to decoupage on your wooden plaques. The great thing about home decor chalk paint is that it dries quickly and covers in one coat. So only a couple minutes later I was able to decoupage my book pages onto my antler head here. Now another thing I want to talk about is the decoupage medium I'm using. It's Chalk Finish Mod Podge. It's a new product, well, new to me anyway, and I really love it. And one thing that I'm kind of excited about is that after it dries you do not see any sheen whatsoever, and it's not sticky or tacky like sometimes the gloss Mod Podges can be in humid areas. So I think you could totally use this in your art journals in place of matte medium because it's quite a bit cheaper, and anytime you want to be able to glue something down and you don't want to see that snail trail of glue if any happens to seep out. So put that on your to try list. I think you will really enjoy it. Keep adding pages until you've completely covered your wooden plaque. Don't worry if you have any spots showing of the white underneath, that's why we base coated it. No fretting allowed. Now I'm going to show you how to get a coppered patina look on your silver galvanized letters. With the same treatment will go on the Peace, Noel, and Snowflake design. Because I wanted to change the look of the metal from silver to copper, I actually started by painting on some folk art metallic copper paint. Then, using one of the home decor chalk wax brushes, I pounced on some of the grotto, which is kind of like a teal color, white, and some green paint. So I kind of loaded it up. So I just have little dabs of paint on the end of my brush, tapped it out on a tile so I don't have any big globs, and then I just tapped it onto the metal letters. Since I have distinct portions of my brush with different colors, I kind of get that patina look. But the great thing about this is you can keep layering back into the metallic and back into the chalk paint over and over until you get just the look you're going for. If you wanted a pewter look, for example, you could keep the letters silver and then dab on some grays and blacks and then sand it back. So instead of sanding back for me, because if I sanded back I'd get to silver, I decided that I would take some copper paint and I would just kind of hit it on the areas where it would sand back if I was to kind of scuff it up. And then to kind of vintage it up a little bit more, I went back in with a stippling just to kind of tone down the copper. Again, you can keep doing this until you're perfectly happy with your design. While the metal pieces are drying, it's time to go back to the wooden plaques. You want to work on your plaque with the right side facing down and use an X-Acto knife. You want to trim away any of the hanging over book pages. It's helpful to move the piece as you cut so that you're always pulling the knife in a comfortable direction. Then use a file or a sanding sponge to clean up any paper that didn't trim out nicely. Be sure to wipe down the plaque with a damp rag after you sand so that no dust gets in your paint. Then I used a sponge brush and red paint to paint the edges, both inside and outside of the plaques. This is pretty just the way it is if you like a modern look, but I prefer an antique look, so I decided to use the home decor wax in antique to age my project. I used a damp sponge brush to apply the antique wax straight out of the jar all over my plaque. And then I wiped it off with a damp rag. I like how it catches on the edges of the torn paper, and it will also catch on any areas where you can see the white chalk paint. It also tones down the red a little bit on the inside edges. I think it just gives it such a nice look. And you can always go in and add more if you want more of a vintage look, or you can even pounce on with the wipe away rag to give it a little bit more of a mottled vintage look. It's completely up to you. It is so easy and I just love the outcome. Now let's take a look at our finished projects on the mantle. You can see here I have arranged everything up at different levels for visual interest. Now the plaques, since I had 2 of them, I put them on the wall on either side of my main mirror, and I wanted them to be symmetrical, so what I did was I used poster putty to tack them in place until I got them just right, and then I used a couple brads to secure them down. The Noel and Peace are also held to the mirror with a little bit of poster putty. To bring a little of the outdoors in, I put a mason jar of water inside that old boot and put some clippings from some of my evergreen trees in there, as well as some berry picks and an old ornament. It smells wonderful. If you'd like more information on Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint or chalk finish Mod Podge, please visit plaidonline.com or visit a Michaels store near you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting!